Well, here we are at the end of another year, and boy oh boy, 2023 certainly was a year. But at least we got some fun video games to play throughout the year. So here's an obligatory top 10 list of the best ones I personally got to play, either on my own, during my weekly streams over on twitch.tv, or with friends over Discord as we huddled around inside waiting for 2023 to play itself out. First up, honorable mentions. These were the games I played that I found memorable but didn't quite crack the top 10 list. All great titles, worth checking out. Now then, on to the list proper. A surprise entry I stumbled over the demo for during a Steam Next Fest and ended up captivated by. Vlad's Circus is a dark and twisted combination of classic point-and-click adventure games and Resident Evil-style survival horror, centered around an early 20th century circus troupe that's fallen on hard times. While not for everyone, the pitch-black narrative turns this game took kept me pressing onward through its inventory puzzles and light combat, just to see what foul avenue its tragic story would turn down next. Stepping in to represent what was probably my favorite game to stream with my friends and Twitch followers this year was King of the Castle, the all-against-one monarchy overthrowing simulator that had everyone I was playing with pitted against me in an effort to kick me out of the throne room of a not unlike Westeros-ish type kingdom. The laughs had at my expense each time a group of my friends were able to band together and somehow usurp me in some ridiculous fashion gave this multiplayer game a fun dunk tank feel to it that I enjoyed being the unfortunate victim of again and again. When I completed indie developer Soda Raptor's previous game Hypnagogia, I made a point that their next game had to be a horror game. Well, as it turns out, their very next venture wasn't just a horror game, but one of a specific flavor that I didn't even realize I wanted as much as I did. Interior Worlds was an unnerving, quiet journey through dark, empty, liminal spaces that did a better job leaving me satisfyingly creeped out than any other horror experience or jump scare fest I played this year. This game may have just ruined malls and airports for me for the rest of my life. Of course, quiet, creepy horror is all well and good, but sometimes you want to party with some guns and monsters and explosive action gameplay. And what series brings the monsters better than Resident Evil? And what entry in that series does the explosive action party better than Resident Evil 4? Everyone was waiting for this remaster to come out, and when it did, it landed exactly how we were all hoping it would. Leon, Ada, Carlos, Ashley, it was fantastic to see them all return and look better than ever, along with all the crazy third-person action that the original game pioneered so many years ago.
Well now, time to cause some mayhem!
Speaking of games we were all waiting for, Sea of Stars established itself early in its development as the spiritual successor to SNES-era RPGs like Chrono Trigger, which had everyone my age frothing at the mouth in anticipation. When it did release, it was like we all collectively found a forgotten 16-bit gem at the same time. It was a treat to have something new, yet familiar for all of us seasoned RPG gamers who remember pouring hours into classic franchises like Final Fantasy and Dragon's Quest to enjoy together once again. I think what was most surprising about Dave the Diver was how, despite looking like just another pixel art rendered hodgepodge of indie video game design tropes that come out by the dozens on platforms like Steam, this game managed to garner enough buzz to still stand out. It felt like the game always had something new to show me or teach me to try and master every time I came close to feeling like the consistent fishing dives were maybe starting to get a little repetitive. Maybe it overreached a little here and there, but all its bits and pieces kept me hooked all the way to the credits. More pixels in this entry, but with a full-fledged studio backing them up this time. The sequel to Square Enix's traditional 8-hero JRPG adventure was a step up in almost every aspect from its predecessor. Octopath Traveler 2 was another 60 hours of classic turn-based RPG gaming that I couldn't put down, but with better characters, polished mechanics, and somehow even more gorgeous art and music direction than any other retro throwback game I played all year. Here's hoping they make a third entry with 8 more new heroes that continues to trend in the same direction. All I wanted from a sequel to this straightforward puzzle game from nearly 10 years ago was another few dozen lateral puzzles to solve, and this sequel certainly had more than enough of that. But what I couldn't have expected was how blown out of my socks I was going to be by this game's philosophical narrative. In between bouncing lasers and moving boxes, there were pages of notes and conversations about many different aspects of real-world philosophy that I was completely absorbed by, even as some of it maybe flew a little over my head. My newly wrinkled brain is going to remember the Talos Principle 2 for years to come. Here's a little game about fishing, something that most games shoehorn in as an insubstantial distraction, that takes the core loop of simple, timed, button-pressing mini-games and surrounds it all in a small but fully packed world. A world with dangerous things waiting for you just below the water's surface. Dredge struck the perfect balance between a routine organizational management game and an eerie venture into mysterious, unsafe waters that kept me engaged, curious, and paranoid across its entire adventure. Without a word of dialogue or exposition, Cocoon tossed me right into an alien world with no goals or even an understanding of what rules its universe operated on. And yet, it still managed to be one of the best examples of tutorial gameplay, puzzle logic, and creative world building I played all year. Even after I completed the game, I still didn't really know what had happened, but I did know that I was a central part in making it all happen by grasping the tools and mechanics the game taught me and using them to best all of its challenges. That's how video games should make you feel, and Cocoon did it for me better than any other game I played in 2023. Thanks everyone for watching. Don't forget to subscribe for more gaming videos going into 2024. And if you'd like to join us live, I stream Wednesday nights over on twitch.tv. Happy New Year, everyone.